guys? Red Pill, Blue Pill, back with another episode, and today we're going to be talking about parenting.
And specifically for one of them, we're going to be talking about sideline parenting. There was an article that was put on Facebook the other day that I came across that kind of hit me a certain way. I called Jacob about it, had some mixed feelings on the situation because it kind of directly affected how, basically I would say, I parent. And by sideline parenting, we're talking about sporting event type things for you and your kids. So I'm going to just give you a quick rundown of the article of what it says. So basically it's talking about as parents, we want what's best for our children. We also want our children to give their best when they participate in extracurricular sports and activities. The problem is we sometimes get caught up in our desire to see our children perform well, and we speak up at the wrong times. With that said, this person says they put together some details about how coaching from the sidelines plays a harmful role in your child's emotional development. Now they do quote that this is towards their specific sport, not kind of other ones on that matter. So it says, for starters, your child's brain's already occupied with so many thoughts. Take a sparring match, for example. What technique should I throw? What technique is the opponent going to throw? What if I get hit? What did my instructor say? Different things are going through the kid's head at that time. What if I miss? What's the score? Now it's saying you can imagine this is a lot to think about, and when your parent is yelling at you, chances are your emotional cup will overrun. So on that part itself, it kind of hit me a certain way on that because I'm the kind of parent that definitely cheers on my child. I don't want to say that I try to overpower the instructors by any means whatsoever, but being a person who was in sports myself, definitely having my grandfather kind of cheer me on through the things I was doing helped me focus more on what my goal was. It helped me drain out all the other noise that was going around in that instance. So I feel like it does the same sense for my child as well, which I actually asked her about. I just sat down with her and said, when we're at one of your sparring competitions, how would you feel, or how do you feel when Dad cheers you on? She says, oh, I like it. It helps me think about something that I need to do because sometimes I'm just go, 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 and I'm more in the moment rather than thinking of defending myself or what to do to get out of a certain situation that I might have put myself in, because my daughter's in sparring, so it's a fighting, basically little kid MMA event in a sense. The article though does continue to say that coaching can also, again, there's a lot of moment going on, and with your child's neurons and your coaching from the sidelines, be it positive or negative, could make your child's emotional stability fall off balance. So right there was something that hit me as well hard on that, with it saying positive coaching from the sidelines. I don't think there's been anyone ever that has said, yeah, when I said, go John, go Billy, go Steve, whatever your kid's name may be, cheering your child on affected them negatively in any way or really can overwhelm them, I guess. I would say if I don't sit there and cheer my child on, that they could feel like an abandonment issue, which again, I asked my child that, and I said, if I didn't cheer for you and you didn't hear me cheering, how would that make you feel? She'd say, I'd feel that you left. So then I'd get distracted looking around for you, wondering what I'm doing wrong and why you're not cheering for me, like you're upset with me. So that was actually the main part of the article that really bothered me. I won't continue further with it because those extra things aren't going to make much of a difference. But it just was one of those things I was like, how can cheering someone on positively affect them harmfully? I understand it can feel overwhelming, but I think by saying that you're overwhelming your child with with positive reinforcement is really kind of demeanoring children in a way. Like what child would think, oh no, I don't want my mom or dad saying, oh, good job to me while I'm out in an event.
I don't think there is a child out there that would say, if you be here, can you read just that one part again?
Just that part again?
Yeah, I just want to make sure, because I don't think that there is a child out there that thinks to themselves like, oh my gosh, I totally messed up because I heard my parent cheering from me. So I was just interested if you could just read it again.
That one area again.
Yeah.
So it says, again, there's a lot of movement going on with your child's neurons, and your coaching from the sidelines, be it positive or negative, could make your child's emotional stability fall off balance.
Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to argue with you because I don't think there is an argument. I think it would just sound dumb if I was to say, well, yeah, I think a kid can get thrown off by hearing their parent cheer. I mean, I played basketball most of my life, and I had this discussion with my mom about the same article. And yeah, I mean, just growing up playing basketball and playing sports, I mean, I never got thrown off by hearing not just cheers from my parents, but I mean, when you're playing in a game, whether it's a match or anything like that,
You have a lot of fans.
you
there.
have a lot of fans
Yeah.
there. They're cheering. So I don't really think I didn't really take it as that. I took it more of as like positive critique. Like you and I discussed, sometimes when your daughter is fighting, you tell her, hey, don't forget to kick. Hey, don't forget to punch. Hey, don't forget to do this. To me, that's not negative sideline parenting. That would fall more along the lines of positive kind of parenting. And what I took from that when I read it is just more of, if they're not thinking for themselves because they have so much stuff going on, that it might hinder their response time or their thinking what they want to do or need to do. If you're sitting there telling them, hey, don't forget to kick, hey, don't forget to punch, hey, don't forget to do this, don't forget to do that, they're now relying on you solely on what they need to do than trying to figure out in their head what they need to do with that moment. So that's kind of what I took that as, of positive reinforcement, because that whole negative stuff, like I said, I get that. I don't think there is an argument to be had that a parent yelling negative stuff or anything like that at their child is going to help them. If anything, like that article says, it hurts more than anything.
Oh, and I agree.
I just feel like maybe how it was phrased in that article, it wasn't properly phrased right. Like, he shouldn't have thrown positive and negative together with each other, because I feel like you can take it. And when I first read it and we first talked about it, that's how I took it as well. It honestly took me about a day or so reading it a couple times to maybe try and pull something different from it, because I can't fathom in my head that someone would actually think that a parent yelling positive reinforcement basically to their child during competition is going to somehow upset their mental stability and make them not perform well. So I think the way I took it, if I'm taking a step back and trying to look at it from a different angle, I think maybe I'm hoping at least that that's more what he meant, is not yelling what the kid needs to do, because maybe they're not doing it enough, because then the child can't, they're not really basing it off their own instincts. They're just going off of what they're hearing their parents say. And I mean, any kid, especially your kid's age, because I don't have any kids in sports yet, they're not old enough, but I remember even when I was young, if I heard my parents telling me something, I mean, I'm going to do it. It's your parent. You know that your parents have your best interest. You're going to listen to them. So that's how I kind of took it. But at the same time, I can see how you would take that, because, like I said, I just feel like it was worded poorly, and it could have been, you got to separate positive and negative. Like, if you're going to, you can't just throw positive in there, because negative sideline parenting does affect what you're saying in your article. You can't just throw positive in there without giving some type of, background, I believe, or going deeper into that. You can't just say, oh, positive and negative. Well, no, positive is positive. It's meant for encouragement.
Yeah.
A positive to me in sporting can't be a negative. Like,
no.
It just can't. So I just feel like that article should have just expanded. If you're going to throw positive in there, expand on that.
And it was short. It did mostly throughout this whole article just kind of say what's going through the kid's head, how negative things it can affect on it. But, it says, though, although you have good intentions with your coaching from the sidelines, there are more productive options. Give your child tips and encouragement before class or competition, because it talks about stuff in the class as well. But we're talking mostly just the competition side. Remain silent unless your child looks to you for advice or support, and then provide the constructive feedback after class or the competition. Again, I agree with that. If you want to give constructive, I don't even want to call it criticism with the kid, because you shouldn't criticize your child.
No, not at a young age.
So I like that you didn't say criticism. You just said give constructive feedback. So if you're wanting to give constructive feedback with kids, also, it needs to be something they can understand. And again, you don't want to demeanor your kids. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of jerkhead parents out there, and I've seen them at a lot of these competitions that are screaming at their child, punch them in the face, do this, do that. I get it's part of the sport. I understand that part of it. But, I mean, that to me doesn't really help anyone there if you're basically demanding your child, and that's the way it comes across anyway, to do something. Like you said, how I kind of yell for my child. It's more like, remember your combos, kick. Yeah, I will say kick or block or, punch and stuff, just to kind of get to focus. Because I feel like also you can see your child in those things. And since you've been with, your child, if however long they've been in the competition, 2, 3 years, 5 years, depending on how old your kid is, 10 plus, you can see that point in any child where they look almost, frazzled. Would that be the word, frazzled? And you might not see like an overwhelming sense on them, but you kind of see like okay, maybe they need some help in direction right now. So just yelling something out kind of gets all that negative thought out of the head and goes, oh, that's right, I need to do this. Because again, I don't want to say that kids can't handle that, but we also need to understand that, depending on how old the child is in the competition thing, because you can start putting your kids in sports at about 5 years old now, mostly, sometimes even 4.5, depending on their motor skills, that doing certain things could easily overwhelm them. So I think it also depends on what age your child is too. You're not going to react to a teenager that's in sports the same you're going to react to a 5-year-old that's in sports or 6-year-old that's in sports. You're going to need to be able to bring it down to their level and understand, I can't sit on the sideline shouting, do this, do this, do this, and because they're not going to comprehend it anyway.
Yeah.
The perfect example is like soccer, basically. As a kid's in soccer at the beginning stage at like 6, I call it beehive soccer or bumblebee soccer. They just run to the ball in a circle. And I mean, that's fun for them. They're having a great time. I know there's parents out there like, no, kick the ball this way, kick the ball this way. Okay, you're trying to help your kid develop skills and stuff. But again, there's jerkhead parents out there that will like yell at their kid if they don't do it right at that age. It's just not going to help them there.
Yeah, those parents honestly shouldn't be at games. The only thing that I kind of take exception with of what you just read is the whole, you just need to be silent, and then once it's over, then critique. You're not going to tell me when my kids are in sports, you're not going to tell me to sit on the sidelines and be silent while my kid is in competition for anything. That is just not going to happen. That's unrealistic. Just like it's unrealistic that you're going to stop parents from being jerks. I mean, they have a whole TV show, I believe it was on ESPN or something, where they follow these parents that are teaching their kids. And the one that I saw, it was a golf, like a young kid, probably about the age of 9 years old. And the kid was golf, and the parent was basically his caddy. And just the kid would miss a putt, and it's just nagging at him and just drilling
doesn't
him.
Help.
And that, you'll probably never be able to change that, because if you confront one of those parents, what's the first thing that they tell you? Don't tell me how to parent my child.
Yeah.
And that's one thing with this video too. We don't want to try and tell you how to parent your child.
No.
Because to me, I mean, you parent how you want to parent. I just think it's on us as parents to realize and go based off of your child. Like, how your child reacts. You know how your child reacts to criticism. You know how it reacts to positive reinforcement. I just think you take what you know about your child, and you use that in whatever competition they're having.
Yeah.
So in your instance, I'm not saying what you do is wrong, because that works for your child. I don't think any coach should tell a parent how to basically show positive reinforcement. Now, I have no problem with a coach going up to a parent who's being a jerk and be like, hey, man, you need to just shut up. Either that or leave.
Or leave. Kick them out. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that.
I'm perfectly okay with that. Like I said, I just read it a little differently than you, but that's also because I don't have a child that is in sports, so I haven't quite yet gone into that part of parenting. But yeah, I'd probably react the same way as you. Like if I see someone tell me that me giving positive criticism or anything like that is gonna hurt my child's ability, I'm probably gonna look at you like you're stupid.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, no, like you need to better explain that because I'm not gonna just sit here and my child does good and I'm just gonna sit there and just.
So
I'll tell you after you're done how you did, but right now I'm just gonna watch it like that's not gonna happen.
So that kind of leads me on to this other part, this article I pulled up that had to do with sideline parenting, kids in sports, which leads to what you said. You're not going to tell me I can't cheer for my child.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually these things called no cheer games at certain events.
There's not.
Yes, they're called no cheer games.
Okay.
A parent is allowed to bring a sign that says something on the sign or can clap for their kid. Nothing else. You can talk amongst each other as parents, but no shouting like, yeah, kick the ball, hit the ball, great hit. Nothing. No cheer whatsoever.
What's the point of even going?
I don't know. But
other than to show support for your kid that you're there. That's... So like I said, I played basketball growing up. That would be the most boring game I have ever played in my life if the gym was just full of
people standing there staring at you. You'd probably feel more awkward.
And maybe talking to themselves. Yeah. It'd be kind of like, okay, I'm not focused on the game because now I'm hearing chatter and talk of conversations that have nothing to do with the game. What are they talking about?
And you would think, too, like, oh, how they're going to enforce this rule. If I cheer, what are they going to do? Just tell me to be quiet? No, they actually have, according to this, basically... kids around the age of 18, they refer to them as brave teenagers, and I can understand why, because if you have a rowdy fan and you're a teenager, you're not going to want to go up to Mr. Smith and be like, Mr. Smith, I need to escort you out of here. So they actually have these teenagers go up to them and give them a penalty box card that basically sends the parent or whoever it is to a timeout box for anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the act is what they determine. Okay. And it's called the cool down box. So they have to sit in there and basically... be quiet the entire time. What they do at that point, I don't necessarily know. I don't know if it's a big silent box that you can't hear, so maybe they can scream as loud as they want. Yeah. I'm not sure on that part because they didn't talk much on that. But it's just, I don't understand what that can help, but according to the thing that they did on it, they also say that during these quiet games, or no cheer games, which have been going on since 1999.
I'm sorry, I just am trying to wrap my head around a quiet game.
Quiet game.
Who goes to a sporting event and it's quiet?
It's a thing. It's a thing. Since 1999, it was a Cleveland Youth Soccer League that started it, but it was called Silent Saturdays at the time. And again, it kind of goes back to, like I said, with the Bumblebee Soccer. A lot of these things seem to be pertaining to soccer. Maybe there's more jerk fans in soccer. I don't know.
There's a lot more chanting. I know that.
But the coaches said, though, that during these no cheer days or games, that the kids actually seem to play better because of the lack of noise. But that's something I took away from this too. They played better, that seemed to anyway, because of the lack of noise. It had nothing to do necessarily with the positive cheering or the negative cheering. It was just the no noise. So maybe they're just, in a sense, able to focus more. They're just able to kind of concentrate on the game rather than all the other noise. Because even as professional athletes at basketball games and things, what does the crowd do to throw someone off when they're taking a free throw or a field goal? You chant, you get as loud as you can. There's a Pepsi commercial about a whole stadium cracking open a Pepsi to disrupt the kicker.
He missed that field goal.
And he missed the field goal.
Missed it because of the noise.
The noise. So, I mean, I guess I can understand that it could help kids play a little better because they're not distracted or, I guess possibly overwhelmed. But it's just odd to me that they would have a no cheer game like you said. Could you imagine being a kid? Just picture being a kid going to a stadium, a field, I don't know what you want to call it, a court,
anywhere,
and just
any sporting event,
silent. Yeah, absolutely, it would make me feel more awkward as a child, I think, than if everybody's cheering, whether or not I guess it's good or bad. Again, I'm talking as a grown adult that already has all this experience, though. But I couldn't imagine if I sent my kid to do an event and just had every single person quiet. I feel like it would be almost like a stage performance, which I see kids get more anxious and scared when they're in front of a bunch of people being quiet on a stage that are, recording and stuff, than I do when I see them play their sports. When they're playing their sports, it's like watching them play a game outside. They're just in their element. They're playing and stuff. So I feel like if you're quiet, it causes more stress on them than if you're not. Again, I'm not talking about people that are saying rude things to their kids. That's just uncalled for, not okay. I'm not talking about those ones specifically.
Like I said, that shouldn't even be a discussion, because we all know. If you don't know,
we
you
say
don't have
we,
common
but
sense.
there are those parents out there.
But
so.
yeah, and if you take offense to what we're saying, it's probably because it pertains to you and it's the truth. If you're yelling derogatory things at your child
or at other children,
or or other children, and things like that, or even, to be honest with you, what annoys me is you're yelling at the refs and the umpires. You know what I mean? And
I get if you're saying, "Oh, that's a bad call, ref," but when you start dropping
cussing, or I'm
going
to meet you in the parking lot, like if that pertains to you and you're mad about it, I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna have to get over it. The guy or girl doesn't get paid that much to do that for high school or anything like that. Yeah. And a lot of the younger kids, they're volunteers, so they don't need your BS on top of already the kids and everything. My thing is, why do we parent? We parent. And we teach our kids stuff to help them as they get older and
in the
grow.
future. Mm-hmm.
So my question to that is, by doing that, how does that help or teach your kid to prepare for the future?
When they're being quiet?
When they're being quiet. When you go to college, they don't have that rule.
No.
When you go, say, if your kid is good enough to make it to the major leagues, with any sport, they don't have quiet days. So how does that one day your kids focus more? That's great. They're going to have to learn how to handle all that noise as they progress in life in that sport. What does teaching them silence at one game, how does that help them?
So it's one game a year. It's not just one game.
But I'm just saying,
thing.
just in doing it in general, how is that helping them? As they move on past high school, if that was a high school or whatever, college, they don't have silent days. So you're telling me you're trying to get a kid to feel better, but you're not preparing them to be able to handle when I'll tell you what, when I was in high school playing at away games, I heard some nasty stuff being shouted at me. There was one high school we went to where you had the sideline right here, right? That's the out of bounds line. And the students were literally right there. Yeah. People were touching me as I was taking the ball out. As I would shoot and get fouled, I would fall into the crowd. And the stuff that these kids would say would blow your mind. You're like, oh my gosh. But as an athlete, you kind of have to move past that and ignore it. So how is by everything being silent? To me, that's not really helping your kids.
Well, I think if you do like what you're saying, you allow the parents or kids or whatever it is to yell what they want to yell. Again, kind of keep the profanity stuff down or whatever. In high school, you can't control it because kids are going to be kids at that age, and you have no real...
You can control it as a parent, though.
As a parent, but when they're at a game by themselves, you don't know what they're saying or doing. So, but I think with that, it kind of helps you that with that good old saying when we were kids, and you'd say it, well, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can't hurt me. I don't hear kids nowadays saying that, because it seems like anything that anyone says now, kids are just offended by it, or and they just can't take it. Which I'm not saying, okay, we'll bully your kids and then they'll be able to be stronger people. That's not what I'm saying. But definitely, so I guess this will kind of go into the next topic, which you can talk on. But kids nowadays play video games a lot more than you and I did.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the things they hear online there? So you're trying to tell me that,
or even the stuff that they see in video games. My favorite game right now, I just started playing, is Red Dead Redemption 2. Some of that stuff that is in that video game,
that's rated M for mature. You shouldn't have a 12-year-old playing.
Okay, but so is Call of Duty and all that. And when we were playing, 8 years ago, we had 12-year-olds playing online with us that were honestly saying worse stuff than what we were saying online.
And that goes to kind of my point. You're having these quiet days at games so people can't cheer and overwhelm your children, but then you go home and they jump on Fortnite and they have 40-year-old Greg or 22-year-old Mike or whatever saying that, oh, they SD or their mom's a whore or whatever it is and stuff like that. Yeah. So you want to control the aspect of their sporting life, but when they go home and they start playing these things, you have no control of what anyone's going to say online. Yeah. Trust me, I'm a person that plays online games. If a parent gets on a mic thing and tells me to shut up, I used to go off on them. I'd be like, your kid shouldn't be playing this adult game. You need to recheck your life right now. Yeah. Instead of yelling at me because I said their kid sucks or whatever it was. Yeah. Again, this was like 8 years ago. Now I don't play all those types of games, but I do play other ones, but they're more party-based, so I don't have to listen to them. But again, what kids are hearing online more is way worse, I think, than what they're hearing from sideline activity stuff. I don't understand where one aspect it's, oh, we need to basically shelter them, but when it's a video game aspect, it's, no, they can do whatever they want.